Welcome to Echoes of Fear. Imagine a place where the silence is so thick, it feels like it's whispering ancient secrets. Today we'll explore 5 real-life horror stories, all set within the darkened walls of libraries. These sanctuaries, of knowledge with their dust-covered shelves and empty corridors, hide something far more sinister. Prepare yourself, as with every turn of these chilling tales, you'll discover that some libraries don't just house books, but also the echoes of lost souls. Stay with us and dive into the shadows that lurk in these seemingly peaceful places. 1. The Last Reader. The New York Public Library, New York, NY. Date: March 14, 2023. Time: 10:37 p.m. The New York Public Library's Rosemain Reading Room is a vast, awe-inspiring space, its towering bookshelves and ornate chandeliers evoking a sense of grandeur. By day, the massive tables are filled with students, writers, and researchers, but at night the silence is different, thick, absolute, and unnatural. Mark Reynolds had worked security for the library for over 6 years. He knew the usual protocol: lock the doors at 10 p.m., make the final rounds, check every room for lingering visitors, and switch off the lights. He had never seen anything truly unusual until that night. As he passed by the reading tables, his flashlight beam caught something strange. A dim glow flickered at the far end of the room. He frowned. The chandeliers had already been turned off. Approaching cautiously, he saw the glow was coming from a single desk lamp, illuminating a man seated at one of the long wooden tables. Mark hesitated. The man appeared elderly, his face pale and deeply lined. He wore an outdated black suit and sat hunched over a thick, leather-bound book. His bony fingers slowly turned the pages, as if savoring each word. "Sir?" Mark called, out his voice echoing. "The library is closed. You need to leave." The man didn't respond. He didn't even seem to acknowledge Mark's presence. Mark stepped closer, reaching for his radio. "I've got an unauthorized person in the reading room. Sending him out." Now, he expected the man to react, maybe look up in surprise or confusion. Instead, he continued reading, his eyes locked on the pages. Mark sighed, annoyed. He reached out to tap the man's shoulder. The moment his fingers brushed the fabric of the man's suit, he vanished. Not in a slow, fading way. It was as if he had never been there at all. Mark stumbled back, heart hammering. The chair where the man had been seated was empty. The only evidence he had ever been there was the book still lying open on the table. With shaking hands, Mark picked it up. The book's pages were filled with text, but not just any text. It was his own life story. Every detail, from childhood, memories to things no one else knew. His first fight in middle school, his mother's last words before she died, even what he had eaten for lunch that day. His breath hitched as he flipped further. The book was writing itself, ink appearing on the pages before his eyes. Mark picks up the book, feeling his heart pound. He reads the next line and realizes his fate is sealed. His fingers trembled as he turned to the final page. It was blank, except for a single sentence, scrawled in jagged handwriting. "I'll be back tomorrow to finish the story." Mark dropped the book and ran. The next morning he quit his job and never set foot in the library again. 2. The Forgotten Borrower, Chicago Public Library, Chicago, IL. Date: June 5, 2018. Time: 7:15 p.m. Emily Vargas loved working in the archives of the Chicago Public Library. There was something comforting about the scent of aged paper, the hum of fluorescent lights, and the sheer quiet of the space. Her job was simple: restore and catalogue old checkout records. One evening, while sorting through a box of historical borrower's slips, she came across an anomaly, a card dated October 4, 1942. The book listed on the slip was called Gates of Eternity. She frowned. She had been working with the system for years and had never heard of such a book. A quick search in the library's digital catalogue confirmed her suspicion. It didn't exist. Even stranger was the name of the borrower, Edward Fontaine. Curious, she did a search in the library's records for Fontaine. Nothing came up. She expanded her search to historical archives, and when she finally found something, her blood ran cold. Edward Fontaine had disappeared in 1942. The article she found described how Fontaine, a university professor, had last been seen at the library, reading a book. Witnesses recalled him being deeply engrossed in it. But when the library closed and staff approached him, he was gone. His belongings were found neatly stacked on the table, but the book was missing. A chill ran through Emily. Had she just uncovered something that no one was meant to find? She turned back to the borrowers, slip, and froze. The paper was no longer blank, in shaky handwriting. "Where is my book?" A gust of cold air brushed her skin. The archive room had no windows, and the air conditioning had been off for hours. Then she heard it, a faint rustling sound, like pages turning. Slowly she turned around. The room was empty, but just for a split second she saw something move between the shelves, a shadow shifting, flickering out of sight. Then a whisper, "I need my book." Emily didn't wait to see more. She grabbed her bag and ran out of the archives, leaving the borrower's slip behind. She never worked late again. But the next morning, when she returned, the slip was gone. The Man in the Stacks, Library of Congress, Washington, D.C. Date September 23, 2021. Time, 8:50 p.m. David Holloway had worked as a librarian at the Library of Congress for over a decade. He had heard the rumors about strange occurrences. In the Jefferson Building, phantom footsteps, cold spots, books appearing in places they shouldn't be. But he never believed them, until the night he saw the man. It was late and David was shelving books in the philosophy section on the second floor. The library was nearly empty, the vast marble halls eerily silent. As he reached for a book, he saw movement out of the corner of his eye. A figure stood between the shelves, just out of focus. "Can I help you?" David asked. No response. The man was tall, dressed in an old-fashioned suit. His face was turned away. David stepped closer. The air felt suddenly heavy, thick, as if the space itself had grown denser. The man turned. His face was wrong. His eyes were missing, just empty, dark sockets. A whisper drifted through the shelves. "Don't close the book." David's breath caught. His fingers brushed against the spine of an old, tattered book lying on the cart beside him. The title, Accounts from the Beyond. The moment he touched it, a sharp pain shot through his skull. Then darkness. He woke up half an hour later, sprawled on the floor. The book was gone. A security guard found him and asked what had happened. But David couldn't answer, because he knew deep down that something had been watching him, and it was still there. Next. The Whispering Book, Seattle Central Library, Seattle, WA. Date, October 11, 2022. Time, 8:45 p.m. The Seattle Central Library was a marvel of modern architecture, glass walls, geometric designs, and an eerie silence that settled in once the patrons left for the evening. Jenna Morales, a part-time librarian, had stayed late to finish organizing a cart of returned books. She liked the quiet usually. It was calming. But that night, something felt off. She noticed it first when she was shelving books on the 10th floor near the philosophy section. A book was lying on the ground as if someone had dropped it. Frowning, she picked it up. The title read, The Paths We Do Not Take. It was old, far older than anything else in this section. The spine was cracked, the leather cover brittle. The checkout card inside showed no stamps, as if no one had ever borrowed it. She opened it, skimming the first page. The words sent a chill through her. Jenna Morales hesitated before picking up the book. She felt a presence watching her, though she was alone. Her breath caught. That was impossible. She turned the page. The story continued, describing her exact actions, the way she had shifted from foot to foot, how she had glanced over her shoulder just now. Her hands trembled. As she flipped to the last written page, Jenna does not realize she is no longer alone. A whisper brushed against her ear. She spun around. The aisle was empty. The lights above flickered. A shadow shifted between the shelves, moving just out of sight. Jenna slammed the book shut. The whispering grew louder, frantic, like dozens of voices speaking over one another. The book in her hands grew heavier. She dropped it and ran, heart pounding as she raced down the stairs, the voices chasing her, the words still burning in her mind. She never saw the book again. But some nights when she walked past the philosophy section, she swore she could hear it whispering her name. If you've made it this far, then you've proven you have the courage to face the unknown, and that deserves recognition. Drop a like to show you're ready to confront the eerie, and don't forget to share this video with anyone else who can handle a spine-chilling story. Make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Fear and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on our next terrifying tales. Every story we bring here is a door opening to the darkest corners of reality, and if you crave that cold chill down your spine, you'll want to be in the loop. Until next time, remember, fear is always closer than you think. Sometimes it's lurking right behind the cover of a book or on the darkest shelves of a library. Take care and never turn your back on what hides in the shadows.